When Kantara Chapter 1 stormed past 300 crore at the box office, it wasn't just a film that won, it was culture. Suddenly, the world was talking about Bhutakola, the spirit medium tradition of Tulunadu. On YouTube and Facebook, comment sections overflowed. People from every state chimed in. We too have this. In our village, our gods also speak through dance. But here's a question. Did you know Assam has its own powerful, divine, spirit possession ritual? It's a tradition few outside Assam have ever heard of. But today, you'll hear it on record. Kantara Chapter 1 hit theatres on 2nd October 2025. As a prequel to 2022 Kantara, it dives into the mythic roots of the ritual traditions that captivated audiences before. But the story isn't that a film series based on rural coastal Karnataka has accumulated over 600 crore over two films. It did more than just break box office records. It brought an ancient ritual from the forests of Tulunad into the global imagination. That ritual is Bhutakola, also known as Daiva Aradhana. For centuries, under the moonlit skies of coastal Karnataka, villages have gathered to witness this living dialogue between gods and men. At its heart, Bhutakola is divine embodiment. A chosen performer adorned in elaborate costumes, painted in vivid colors, and crowned with towering headdresses becomes the medium of the spirit. Through hypnotic dance, chants, and the pounding of drums, he enters a trance until the Bhuta or Daiva or a Gana is believed to descend into his body. In that state, the medium no longer speaks as himself but as the deity. He blesses the village, resolves disputes, even scolds wrongdoers. Faith here is not preached in sermons, it is enacted, thundered, and danced before the community. Kantara brought this sacred drama alive on the screen. We met Panjurli, the wild boar spirit, guardian of fertility and justice. And we feared Guliga, the fierce enforcer, feared for his uncompromising wrath. We were enthralled by Huli, the tiger. We saw Chabundi, the embodiment of Shakti. But the Bhuta pantheon stretches much further. There is Koragaja, often called folk god of the poor, a wandering protector of outcasts and the downtrodden. There is Bobaria, the sea spirit of fisherfolk invoked before every voyage for safety on treacherous waters. And there are dozens more, spirits tied to forests, rivers, ancestors and forgotten lands, each one carrying a fragment of Tulu history and identity. This is why Kantara resonated far beyond Karnataka. It reminded audiences that India's sacred traditions are not confined to temples and scriptures, but they are lived, embodied, and performed in village squares and sacred groves. It captured something timeless, the dance of divine possession. But here's the thing, the idea of God speaking through humans isn't unique to Tulunad. It runs like a hidden current through India's folk traditions. In Kerala, Velichaparus bleed and prophesize before Bhadrakali at Kodungalur, while Devas like Vetta Korumakan and Malarai of Kasargod are invoked in Kola-like rites. In Tamil Nadu, Mariamman and Angalamman seize devotees in fiery possession. In Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, Bega and Oja shamans commune with forest spirits. In Uttarakhand, Jagar rituals summon ancestral souls through the Dangariya. And in Himachal, mountain oracles speak for village gods. Different names, different forms, but the same soul. The trance, the drum, the dance, the divine conversation. And here in Assam, the idea of divine embodiment finds one of its most dramatic expressions, the Deodhani Nritya. The word Deodhani itself comes from Deo or God and Dhwani or the one who speaks, literally the one who speaks for the god. It's a centuries-old shamanic ritual dance performed in honor of goddess Manasa, the serpent goddess, and other local manifestations of Shakti such as Devi Kamakhya herself and the 10 Mahavidyas. While the most prominent celebration happens each year at Kamakhya temple in Guwahati, usually in late July or early August during the Manasa Puja, the Deodhani ritual is also performed in other Shakti temples across Assam. Temples in places like Dorong, Nagaon and Nalbari preserve their own variations, though Kamakhya remains the most famous stage for it. During the festival, Kamakhya's precincts erupt with doba, bortal, and ritual chanting. The chosen dancers, known as Deodhas, enter an altered state of consciousness believed to be divine possession. It is said that once they are in trance, they no longer move as themselves, but as the goddesses who have descended into their bodies. The performance is both fierce and sacred. The Deodhas brandish swords and khargas, sometimes ripping apart sacrificial animals, sometimes striking their own bodies in a display of fearlessness, believed to be the proof that they are no longer ordinary mortals. Their wild leaps, twirls, and shrieks are not choreography. They are interpreted as direct expressions of the goddess's will. Traditionally, Deodhas are not trained dancers. They are chosen or called, often through dreams, omens, or family lineages connected to the ritual. Once possessed, they can offer blessings, reveal hidden truths, or warn of misfortune. Villagers around the state often approach them for guidance, believing the words spoken in trance carry divine authority. The Deodhani festival also points to Assam's layered spiritual landscape. It blends Vedic traditions with serpent cults and animistic beliefs with folk practices that predate written history. It unites people from different castes, from Brahmin priests to Koibotro drummers. In this way, it mirrors other possession rituals across India, but with distinctly Assamese elements. The cult of Manasa, the syncretism of Kamakhya, and the martial sword-wielding dance of the Deotas. Yet, despite its cultural depth, the ritual is little known outside the region. Unlike Kantara's Bhutakola, which was carried onto the cinema screens, the Deodhani dance remains a living local ritual, rarely filmed, rarely explained, and often misunderstood. But to witness it is to glimpse a world where devotion is not spoken in sermons, but thundered through drums and embodied in blood, steel, and ecstasy. From the western Ghats to the Brahmaputra hills, India's gods do not always sit still in silence. Sometimes they move, sometimes they tremble, and sometimes they dance. And in that sacred dance between trance and truth, we are reminded the gods have never really left us.